This is KUGAN CASSIUS for Rifle TV in association with MTK Global, joined by promoter Eddie Hearn.
All right, mate.
All right. Yeah, before we start, I need to obviously address the. I don't even know how to explain it or put it into words. What happened last night at the Manchester Arena? It's simply tragic.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, I was sitting in bed at the time, and social media these days, obviously, it's the fastest form of news, but you never know what to take for, as fake news or real news, and stuff was coming in, and it was only really after an hour or so you realised the size of what had happened, and as a parent, it's unexplainable. You could go. I've been trying to write something on social media today to sort of say what I feel, but it's hard to explain. Like, you want to be outspoken, and at the same time, you got to understand situations, and it's just a messed up situation where the place is turned into a horrible world. Horrible world. It's the only way you can describe it. And as a parent, it scares the life out of me. I mean, my kids are 7 and 4. But if they were teenagers, they would have been at that kind of place, And why should that happen to those people? There's no reasoning behind anything, and I feel like these people need to be protected. But how do you protect them against something like that? You talk about security measures, but when someone's prepared to do what that individual did, how do you stop that? And I guess it's going to the root of the evil, but it's a major problem. And listen, this ain't a political interview, and I wouldn't want it to be, but I don't know, it's just a messed up world, and I fear for our children and the next generation, because where is it going? And what is it all about? It doesn't have to be like this. His family is, you imagine waiting for your kid to come home out of that last night, and the people missing now. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's scary, frightening, sickening. Kids as well, I mean, to anybody, but kids at concerts, man. Anyway, it's the world we live in, and it's a sad place. It's a sad place at times that things like that go on, and it's all very well people saying, open for business, don't worry, dust yourself down and go, but it's.
I mean, the Manchester Council sent that tweet today.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that,
yeah,
and it is.
I understand it, but
you
still,
have to.
Wasn't it a little bit inappropriate? Just the lack of sensitivity in the tweet, possibly.
Yeah, but I guess people want a united front, don't they? We're not going to let these people beat us. That's what we're saying. But it's all very well saying that. But what are we doing to try and stop this? And there's probably a lot more than we know that's trying to be done to stop this. But I feel like we should be protected. Whether that's the government, whether that's the police, whether that's, and I could imagine they're trying to do all sorts, but our children deserve to be protected from things like that, So, but anyway, and yeah, I do think we need a united front, but at the same time, understanding that this is a serious problem. It's not going to go away.
Well, I said thoughts obviously go out.
Of course,
you can't really say anything. I know people have been saying things.
But to think that a family can be ripped apart, and it's not that it's today and the grief. This is irreparable grief, from something like that will affect not just the parents but the entire family for the rest of their life. You don't get over something like that, So it's not just the people that have lost their lives; it's the other people that will suffer for the rest of their lives. And that's why it is so disgusting and cowardly that you can do that to these people with no remorse and no, what's the meaning? Why? What are you gaining? I don't understand. Thoughtless and cowardly and all those words, but you can't imagine the grief that people are going through today, and absolutely, and although our thoughts being with them will never, whether it comforts them or helps them, but you can't imagine what those people are going through today.
This was a public event as well, and obviously countries on high alert for things, especially a day after, as in reference to any event, but more specifically because I'm talking to you about Sheffield this week, outdoors, football ground. Have you spoke to anyone about?
Yeah, we've got a meeting.
Measures?
Yeah, we've got a meet. I mean, you have to understand that things are already in place for this kind of thing. Again, how do you stop these kind of things? That's a question for the police. And I think the whole country is on high alert, even before last night. You know, like Wembley, for example, and Sheffield United. There's already been discussions about this kind of thing. There'll be a meeting at 3:45 at the club today with the police, with the club, to update, to enhance, to put other measures in place, most likely, and certainly a no-bag policy at Bramall Lane on Saturday. You know, increased police presence, increased surveillance, all that kind of thing. And that'll be the same. Don't forget, you know, it's not just our event going on Saturday. There's events all over the country. There's the FA Cup final at Wembley.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a concern. But we have to proceed, you know, and it's not a case of shutting events down and saying, oh, but it's a case of being vigilant, speaking to the authorities, and make sure that that's in place. And that's a meeting that will take place today to make sure that we're all comfortable. We've put increased measures. And by the way, you know, it's a case of increased measures. There's already significant measures in place around events like this. But we have to, in light of what's happened, probably upgrade that. And you know, when I talk about the no-bag policies and stuff like that, that's something that certainly needs to be introduced, in my opinion.
Just don't know where to start. You had a meeting yesterday with Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, in here. Good day.
In here. You've been trying to get him in the office for a while.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was really good. Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. I mean, this is a place where he used to train. Out there on the garden is where, when he first turned pro, he would come and he would train in the pool there. He would do pads out on the garden. And I remember looking out, and the people who work here used to watch from the window. You know, he was a complete. I think he hadn't even had a pro fight, and he was out there, you know, on the pads working. And it's remarkable to think, we were sort of talking yesterday, that how far he's come during that time. And it was nice because you don't really get a chance to sort of sit back and not gloat in the success, but just be proud of yourself for what he's achieved. You know, I mean, it's incredible what he has achieved, and it started here, and we were putting plans together for the next, you know, 18 months and beyond, and that includes various different countries, various different fights, and it's very exciting times. You know, I told him yesterday, he's in a golden position where, you know, he can walk into almost anywhere. I've just seen your top, MTK Sri Lanka. I thought that was a joke.
No, it's
I like that.
something we're looking into.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so really, really good meeting with AJ, Freddie, Rob, Frank, my old man. And then he left here and he went fishing with my old man for a couple of hours. Caught his first fish. And no, it's good, really good day. It's important to strategise because there's so much going on. And we're working away non-stop. We want him to be aware of what's happening. He should be aware. So it's good just to sit him down every now and again and explain what's happening behind the scenes. And it's a big operation, you know, everything that's going on.
I'm assuming you've discussed yesterday the belt situation, the mandatory situation. Has there been some sort of, not a conclusion, but... No,
there's the IBF convention this week. We've put in a special exception request to fight Klitschko next, as we will do with the WBA as well. The WBA is a little bit more clear. We'll be allowed an exception request. Whether we're allowed one with the IBF, I think we're favourite, but we're not a shoo-in. But that's what we want to do. We want to fight Klitschko next. You know, the noise from Klitschko's camp is that's what's going to happen. But again, we're looking into the numbers, where it's going to take place, the date it's going to take place, and that's all things that are being discussed over the next few weeks.
So, as far as you're concerned, his next fight will be Klitschko?
I think more than likely, yeah. So, and if it's not, it's Pulev. I mean, there's no doubt, you know, the Pulev situation, and of course, Kali Sauerland is Pulev's promoter, so we have an open link there, but Cali Southland is representing Pulev. He wants Pulev to fight Joshua. He also doesn't want to lose that fight. You know, the last thing he wants is to have to fight maybe a Takam for a vacant title for no money when he's got the carrot of the Joshua fight, which is the one he wants. So he's got to look after his guy, which he is. They've objected to the IBF request, as they should. And then we'll see how they rule on that. But we can't. Pulev's not going to go away, as is Ortiz. You know, whether it's Klitschko, Pulev, Ortiz, whether it's, I get in trouble because I do interviews and then people use my words in like the objections from Southland to say, oh, Eddie Hearn said the next 3 fights for Joshua are Klitschko, Wilder, Fury. But actually I was asked in an interview on the radio, in an ideal world, what are your next 3 fights? And that's what I said. But I'll say it again, we cannot escape the Pulev fight. We are having the Pulev fight. Whether that is next or the one after, it will only be that. So, I said to Anthony about the belts, because he gave an interview with you and he was like, yeah, you know, if I have to vacate the belt, I have to vacate the belt, and you know, this. And I sat down yesterday, I said, look, how important are the belts? Very important. I said, well, I watched your interview last night. He said, no, look, the IBF belt is the first belt I won. It's my first world heavyweight title. So, you know, if we can, I want to keep that belt. And the WBA as well. I want him to be the undisputed champ. And that means winning all belts. But again, as I've always stressed, I won't let the belts and the politics get in the way of Anthony's progression. So, hopefully we can deal with our mandatories and be in the super fights. And hopefully some of those are a bit of both.
So the indication you've had from Klitschko's camp is that he will definitely fight again, and as in the rematch.
I mean, again, we have to look at where it's going to happen, what the dates are, etc. But I'd say a better way to look at it, the indication that we've had from Klitschko's camp is that this fight will happen again, and we want it to happen again. We think it's the biggest fight out there for Anthony Joshua worldwide, and the biggest fight in the UK outside of the Fury fight. So.
Can you rule out where it won't be the place where it takes place?
Sri Lanka.
Thank you for that.
Your call. I think
Wales, Millennium Stadium.
No, that's could even be the front runner. I think you got when you look at Anthony Joshua and the potential for a international fight, you really look at America, and we're in talks with the MGM. China, Dubai, which if we continue to wait for a super fight in Dubai, we might be granddads by the time that happens, and Nigeria. And all of those territories have shown a significant interest, and Millennium Stadium. The issue with the Millennium Stadium is they're not available in November, which is the month we want to have the fight. They're available October 28th, might be a little bit early, or they're available, I think, December the 9th, a little bit late. But when you look at pay-per-view offerings, which is what we're doing moving forward, there are quite a few options. So this might be a good time to get the feedback from the people on the pay-per-view offerings. And I'm going to ask you the questions. And I'm going to be totally honest and let you know where we are up to with regards to the new season, call it September to December, and the pay-per-view offerings. Number 1, UK card of some description, followed by Golovkin, Canelo. Excuse me. Is that pay-per-view?
Yes.
Okay.
Dependent on the UK card.
On a standalone, see, I like talking pay-per-view numbers with you and with you. I find it quite interesting. So, back in the day, 250 pay-per-view buys used to be like a solid touch, you know? Then, like lately, it's gone like, when you go back to, let's go back to sort of Dillian White against Joshua. Again, like off the top of my head, 420,000 buys. Okay. Anthony Joshua against Charles Martin, 500 and something thousand buys. Kell Brook against Gennady Golovkin, 400,000 buys. Anthony Joshua against Eric Molina, 450,000 buys. Anthony Joshua, David Hay against Tony Bellew, 700 or 750,000 buys. Klitschko against Joshua, 1.2 million buys. You know? So the days of the 250,000 buys, and I still think like Brook-Spence, for example, this weekend, I put that in the range of 250 to 300, something like that. Yeah. But Canelo against Golovkin as a standalone, starting at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, with some British fighters on the card, perhaps. How many does that do? I'll ask you the question.
So what? You're talking about two shows?
Say that it was only that. So say that we went on air at midnight, and there was maybe a couple of Brits on the card,
yeah,
and we went into Canelo Golovkin. How many pay-per-view buys does that do?
3, 4?
Do you really think so?
What, you don't think?
No.
What, far less?
Yeah, not far less, but I think it does about 200 to 250,000 buys. It's a 4 o'clock in the morning fight. It's a great fight. Now I'm going to ask you this question. A couple of weeks later, or maybe 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, Floyd Mayweather fights Conor McGregor. Okay? And it's 4 o'clock in the morning. How many buys does that do?
Definitely over 1 million.
Really? I'm not sure about that.
What, are you serious?
In the UK?
Right, so what was Pacquiao Mayweather?
1.15 million. Yeah, but this is, in my opinion, this isn't as big. No, it's not as big. I think it does 700,000 buys. But still, that's so hard, that fight, isn't it? Because, like, with my boxing heart on, I have to say, it ain't great, is it? No, but it's not, is it? I mean,
no,
like,
if it's great or not.
Like Conor McGregor is an absolute genius, right? I mean, he's like an unbelievable MMA fighter. He's just such a great personality. He's very, very clever. As a boxer, the reality is, I keep saying this to people. Like I say to trainers and people, like, what level would Conor McGregor be if he was a pro boxer? So, like, what do you think?
Would Conor McGregor beat Sam Eggington?
No way. No way. But take it back a little bit. Would Conor McGregor win a Midlands area title? Like, I think the answer is possibly. So therefore, what you're doing is you're putting Floyd Mayweather in with, you know, and again, no disrespect, but if we're talking at welter, light, middle, even some of our guys, like Ted Cheeseman, yeah, light middleweight. Would he beat Conor McGregor in a fight? 100%, in my opinion. So then you're talking about Cheeseman in with Floyd. You know? Like the guys on the Copper Box who had that really good fight. That was light middle, wasn't it? Pickford and those.
Joe Pickford.
Yeah. So would those boys beat Conor McGregor? Yes, I believe they would. So Joe Pickford in with Floyd Mayweather. That's like, but at the same time, it's a motherfucking huge event. So, and how can you turn down a pay-per-view that, according to you, is going to beat Pacquiao Mayweather? But how do you sell it as well? What do you do? How do you sell that? How do you sell that event? Because I have to be, listen, you know me, like I'm not shy on the bullshit, but I can't out and out lie to you. Like I could never come on now and go, what a fight this is going to be. Like I mean, it's intriguing because you just don't know how bad it's going to be. But
this is more about the event.
Yeah, then in that case, that's how we have to sell it.
Well, that is, I think, what happens in the actual ring.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's just like.
Do they fight for a belt?
No.
Is it 12 rounds? Or would it be 10 rounds?
I would guess it would be a 10 rounder.
They'd probably make a belt up for this.
I don't know. I don't know where it's up to. I think it's about to happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's like potentially both of those in September or one early October. You know, do you take both of those? Do you? You have to understand that everyone's trying to do pay-per-view, right? So, and that includes BoxNation, that includes ITV, and probably a few others as well. So if we don't do it, someone else will, right? So if you take Floyd against Conor McGregor, do you drop Canelo against Golovkin? Do you take both? Do you take one over the other? You know, from a boxing purist point of view, you take Canelo, Golovkin. But how can you take that over 1 million pay-per-view buys in McGregor? You know?
But this is unlikely to be September now, so...
Well, it could be October. But then I'm going to tell you about this. Kell Brook beats Errol Spence on Saturday night. Okay? Amir Khan against Kell Brook. Right? James DeGale, George Groves wins on Saturday night. James DeGale against George Groves. Tony Bellew against David Haye 2. And Anthony Joshua against Wembley Klitschko 2. We were sitting there. It's all very well going, what do you do? Like, from a business point of view, we have to find slots for them. From a pay-per-view offering, how do you schedule 6 fights in the final quarter? It's impossible.
Explain
you
why
can't
you
do
put
it.
a couple of them fights. Put a couple of them
Because
fights on the same card.
because you're dealing with.
Brook, Khan, Groves, DeGale.
No, because what you have to do is you have to show the finances to ensure that from a standalone perspective, doubling them up would be as beneficial or hopefully more beneficial. And the answer is it wouldn't. You know, if you were doing Khan against Brook, that would do, in my opinion, 700,000 buys. Between 700,000 and 800,000 buys. Okay? If you did DeGale Groves, I think maybe 600,000 buys. If you did them together, maybe 800,000 buys. So the math doesn't add up. It's all very well. People tweet me all the time. You should do a supercard. Joshua-Klitschko, Haye Bellew, and Brook Khan. Imagine having a conversation with these people. So it's hard, you know. But at the same time, you can't have 6 pay-per-views from September to December. You can't have 4. I know, but you've got all these fights. Someone else is going to do it. If DeGale and Groves came to me and said, we want to fight each other, and I say, I haven't got a pay-per-view slot, they'll just go and do it elsewhere. They won't make as much money. But it's interesting. So these are the things, I like sharing this with you. And again, I like sharing it with you because these are the things that we have to plan for. July is another issue now where, you know, I won't lie to you, there were quite extensive talks about DeGale Smith, as you know. And in the end, Callum decided WBC is where I've been going. I want Durrell. So, you know, we look at DeGale now. You know, was some kind of talks about a Eubank fight. I don't think that's going to materialise.
Have they reached out about that fight?
There's been some conversations.
But not for the 1st of July.
No, I think that's unrealistic now. I mean, that was something that we was always up against with the Smith fight. It was 6 weeks last Saturday. It's 5 weeks on Saturday. You know, to build a pay-per-view. I mean, it sells out in a day, but you know.
Are you keeping that date?
July 1st, possibly. I mean, we have Dylan, who I don't think is going to be necessarily ready for a big fight, coming back from his injury, but needs to fight. We've got Buglioni against Summers, and we've got all the other lads as well. You know, Reece Bellotti, Craig Richards, Ted Cheeseman, Jake Ball, Lawrence Okoli, we've got a new Olympian turning over, which we need to get out as well. So it's just a case of, do we go July the 1st at the O2? It's a big arena, you know.
So would you consider obviously just moving the June 3rd card to July 1st?
Yes.
Is that what you meant? Yeah.
Yes. I have to put on a show in July. I have to get all these fighters out. They all want to get paid. They all want to go on holiday. You know? So, in an ideal world, we'd say, listen, we're going to wait now till September, October. Can't be done. Got obligations to fighters. Need to build a card.
Just before I forget about this, I just wanted to ask you something. Just following on from the Joshua situation. Can you explain what the difference is between Joshua's position with the IBF and that of Tyson Fury's?
Very, very simple. There wasn't one. But Fury, and I presume his team, didn't know the rules, didn't know the position, and weren't prepared. You can ask for a special exception at any time. When the IBF send their letter out, okay, the other team can call immediate purse bids. So just to break this down, what will happen? You're the mandatory challenger, right? Unlikely, I know, but you are. Somehow, you have got yourself in a position. You've gone overseas. You've gone to France, actually, and they've put you in with Carlos Takam, right? And the big Sri Lankans pulled out the haymaker and knocked Carlos Takam's bark out. KUGAN CASSIUS is the new #1 ranked mandatory challenger for the IBF. Okay? In the meantime, back in the UK, there's massive demand for Eddie Hearn to get knocked clean out in front of 90,000 people. Okay? So Eddie Hearn goes and challenges for the World Heavyweight title. Okay? I go in there, I do my thing, easy work, I become World Heavyweight Champion. You are my mandatory challenger. Don't know where I'm going with this, but anyway, I'll carry on. Right?
You better finish it.
Fantasy.
Yeah.
So what happens is, the IBF will send out a letter to KUGAN CASSIUS' team, and they will say, you now have 28 days to negotiate with Eddie Hearn for your fight, or purse bids will be called. Okay? Under the IBF rules, I can go to the IBF and say, listen, I don't want to fight KUGAN CASSIUS because he's a right schmuck and he don't deserve a shot at the champ. So I would like to ask for a special exception to the IBF board to fight Tyson Fury. This is getting really...
Come on.
To fight Tyson Fury. Okay? The IBF board look at it, they say, Eddie Hearn, should he face his mandatory now? You know, there's a big fight for the heavyweight division with Tyson Fury. KUGAN CASSIUS, you'll have to wait. One fight. Okay? Or they come back and go, your win against Takam was so impressive and you are one of the great stories in boxing. Eddie Hearn, you cannot have a mandatory. You have to fight KUGAN CASSIUS next. This is fucking really messed up, right? So I hope you're staying with me on this. When that letter goes out, either party can request immediate purse bids. What that means is, the IBF send the letter out and you say, I don't want to negotiate with Eddie Hearn. I think he's a muppet. Purse bids, now. Right? Under the IBF rules, they have to call immediate purse bids. As soon as you do that, I cannot ask for an exception.
Right.
Right? So, like, that's the confusing part over. Cast your mind back to when Tyson Fury beat Klitschko. The IBF sent out the letter to Kathy Duva and Main Events and said, you have to fight Glazkov, because that was the fighter.
Yep.
You have 28 days to negotiate. What do you think Kathy Duva did?
Go on.
You haven't followed any of this, have you?
I have followed it. Go
Okay,
on.
so what did Kathy Duva do when they got that letter? The same letter you got to fight me. What did Kathy Duva do when purse bids were called?
What did Kathy Duva do?
You prick. Kathy Duva said, I don't want to negotiate with Tyson Fury because she knew they had a rematch clause. I want purse bids now. As soon as she did that, Tyson Fury could not ask for an exception.
Right.
He had to fight Glazkov or vacate the belt. Nothing different. What we did was, we knew what was happening. We know the rules. We plan. We strategise. We plan fighters' careers for them. That's what we do. So we asked for an exception before purse bids could be called. Straightforward. And that is being considered at the IBF convention this week. People say, oh, it's one rule for Fury, it's one... Yeah, it's not at all. It's just being smart, knowing the rules, applying the right strategy, basic common sense, business sense. It's what we do. The fighters' careers are in our hands. So hopefully, after that analogy, you understand that there is absolutely no difference between Fury and Joshua.
People watching this video, hold on a minute. If you understood, I got it. If you understood, just hashtag I understand to Eddie Hearn. So all them people hashtagging I understand, they got your story. You're
Okay.
good. You're good. Okay. Going back to Callum Smith and DeGale. James DeGale now. What is there a chance that he will not fight this summer then?
He could fight in September. I mean, you know, he wants a pay-per-view fight. That's what James DeGale wants. Callum Smith was that fight. George Groves was that fight. I mean, we'll have to see how Groves gets on at the weekend. You know, maybe he knocks out Chudinov and wants to jump in with DeGale in the summer. End of July, August, whatever. Or early September. You know, James actually has a medical exception because he was supposed to fight Uzcat's guy, who had the fight with Darrell. Because James was injured, Uzcat's guy fought Darrell for the interim title and to become DeGale's mandatory, and they'll probably order a rematch for that absolute nutty...
Hey,
I mean...
Unbelievable.
Where's that geezer? Is he still in hiding?
I have no idea.
Sort of that was.
I could have seen someone doing that to you.
Chin me.
Like someone getting yelled.
I did think that.
Some of them.
Do you know what? I did think that. I did think that. I thought, at some stage, I'm going to get chinned. And the bad news is, I'm not going to be standing like that geezer. If that geezer hit me with that left hook, I would be all over the gaff.
It was unbelievable.
No, but he's a coward.
It was
Like,
really bad.
he weren't even looking at him. It was a sucker punch. It was a coward's move. And I quite rate that Uzcat's guy. Like, he's a handful. Well, clearly, because he got hit by a huge left hook and didn't even move. So DeGale's going to have to fight Andre Darrell at the moment, but I'm guessing Uzcat's guy will appeal the decision. So what did you think about the decision? Like, he was throwing a combination, and then the bell went, oh man, did he hit him with a late blow earlier in the fight?
I'm not sure. To be honest, if I'm being honest, I've only seen that ending to the fight.
I think they said like the guy ain't been seen since. Because I think in America, I think he's in a bad place. That geezer. Talking about him doing quite a bit of time for assault. It was assault, wasn't it? If you're thinking about chinning me in a ring, just remember how much trouble this man's in. Let's go through the people that could chin me in the ring. Like, if you were to put a book together of people who are most likely to chin me in a ring. Even money, Derek Chisora.
Shall I do my list?
Go on then.
Right. Not in any particular order.
Okay.
But I don't know about Chisora, because I think Chisora...
No, Chisora could chin me.
Could chin
I thought he might chin me at the presser.
I think either one of the McGuigans or Frampton could do that to you.
Yeah.
I
don't mind if
I could see that happening.
But with those guys, obviously, they're like Shane's used to box. He's a bit of a lump. I'd have a go, probably get ironed out. Frampton, I've got a massive size advantage over, but he probably would also spark me out. I just don't want it to be one of the heavyweights, because I'm banging trouble if that happens. So I'd have to say to you, I think Shane McGuigan could chin me, but I'd have a right go with that one. Frampton might chin me. Dylan could chin me.
Dylan's one of your fighters.
Yeah, he's my mate, but he could still chin me. Who else? Anyone really.
What promoters would chin you?
Don't know. Barry McGuigan might chin me. Warren might chin me.
Hennessy would definitely chin
Hennessy
you.
would chin me. Pretty much all of them, really. Yeah. Let's ask another question. Which promoter wouldn't want to chin me? I don't think there is one. I'd probably want to chin me. If I was watching this, I'd probably think, yeah, I'd like to chin him. We could do another hashtag. Hashtag, I'd like to chin you. If you'd like to chin me, hashtag, I'd like to chin you.
No. Hashtag who you would want to see Eddie Hearn get chinned by. Are we putting our
I had this chat with AJ yesterday, right? We were just joking in the meeting, and I think the conversation came up about pay-per-view buys. We said, look, we're in a very strong position that you could almost fight anyone and there'd be a lot of pay-per-view buys. You know, we talked about the mandatory challenges and stuff like that. And I think Rob McCracken said, you could fight Eddie and it would sell on pay-per-view. And then we thought about how many... So let's go back to the pay-per-view discussion. How many buys would Joshua against me do on pay? Like the amount of people that would love to see me get ironed out, that could be a record breaker. If you think 90,000 people booed me at Wembley, so pretty much all of those people at Wembley would love to see me get ironed out.
I don't know why though.
What do you mean?
I don't know why these people were like even booing you.
I would probably boo me.
Yeah.
I would probably boo me. If I came on the big screens and people started booing, I would boo. Joshua said yesterday that he was going to grab the mic and go, no, listen, hang on a minute. Boo! I thought he was going to say, he said he was going to do that. But.
Do you know what though? When I was watching that, I was chuckling to myself hard.
Well, especially at the time. You were probably thinking,
like,
prick.
No, I wasn't. I was fucking made up for him. But when you come on and it was like
I didn't really want to speak because you've had a great fight. No one really likes listening to me anyway. And you got a great fight between two like warriors, and then you got the fat promoter, and it's like, oh yeah, great, two great speeches. Now we're gonna go to Eddie Hearn. And I was looking at Andy. I was like, no, don't, because I knew. And it was like started off with like a couple of people at ringside. Then it just went like that to the whole of Wembley. And then I don't think there wasn't a person booing. Even if you actually like me, I think you still booed.
Some people might not know who you were.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. Not everyone going to that show is going to know who you are they? That seemed to hurt you a little bit.
Yeah, all right, mate. Of course they do. No, but I think that, so I went to Andy. Listen, you don't need to hear from me. What a fight. Two warriors. Cheers. And they went, what's next for Anthony Joshua? I'm like, I'm just trying to get away. I'm going, we won't talk about that now. And then he said, how was your stomach at the end? I said, all over the gaff. Bye. So...
Do you know what's funny, right? On the next day, some girls I know who went to the fight, when the boo started going on, they thought that people were booing for me, like, because of all the things. So
maybe they were.
No, but so they started joining in, and there's a video, I'll show you the video.
Where's
yeah. But they thought, and they went, like one of them went, babe, honestly, like you had the crowd last night. they was all booing Eddie Hearn for you. I was like, yeah, I heard. But
I guess it's because I'm the one charging them the money, isn't it? Don't know. When my dad goes up to present a darts award, they boo him out of town. So.
Well, apparently it means you cracked it.
Yeah, I'd rather get cheered. But.
Right, we've not even touched on the card this week. We've got time for this, but I want to. There's a couple of other things. Right, Josh Taylor.
Yeah.
And O'Hara Davis.
Yeah.
Can't wait for this. not on your show,
No.
not on your platform.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we saw the Twitter exchange between you and Shane. Is it Jake or Shane?
Shane on Twitter, yeah.
Can you just tell us what
Yeah,
led into actually the fight being made on their side?
So what happened was, I made the first offer to the McGuigans. I won't tell you I mean, I know some of the money's been documented, but I won't tell you where we got to because I don't think that's fair. So we made an offer. They came back and said, this is nowhere near what we expect the number to be. So we then upped it by 20%, something like that, 25%. They said no. So then they came back and they offered us 6 figures for O'Hara Davis. Then I thought, fuck me, we got to take this fight. So I phoned up Tony Sims, phoned up O'Hara Davis. I said, this is the offer. My advice is, let me see if I can squeeze a little bit more, but I think you should take this fight. They said, we agree. We want this fight. If you're happy for us to take this fight, obviously it won't be on Sky, then great. I went back and I made them another offer, purely to drive the money up. I knew I'd add them by the short and curlies at this stage. Another 10%. Told them my number that I wanted for O'Hara to take this fight. And they came back and they hit that number. And when they did, I just went, I can't believe they've done this. So I phoned up the boys, went back to the lawyer, accepted the fight, did the terms, got the contract. O'Hara came in, signed the contract. The contract was fair, no rematch clause, you know. I won't go into the other stuff because I'll probably get told off by Cyclone, but very fair, amazing deal for O'Hara Davis, just amazing deal, and one we couldn't turn down. And I'm not in the business of restricting opportunities for my fighters. I believe O'Hara Davis can go up to Scotland, beat Josh Taylor, big audience, come back and be a massive household star with us. If he doesn't beat Josh Taylor, it's okay. But he's not good enough to beat Josh Taylor at the moment. He's earned an absolute fortune. And from where he's come from, where his journey started, this is a lot of money and this is an opportunity we believe we have to take because it is a very tough fight, but one we think we win. And you only gamble for high stakes in this game. And that's what we do. A lot of people have said to me, promoters have said, why are you doing that? Why are you going up there? You know, what? On their show. Because it's a lot of money. It's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for O'Hara Davis. You know, if I was a stubborn old promoter who was bitter, I would have told, there's no way I would have let him fight on that show. But we've got to do this. You know, if we're going to make great fights, if we're going to give the fans what they want, if I just say no, I'm not letting him box on another show. If Cyclone just say no, we're not going to let him on another show, big fights don't get made. It's what's got in the way of making great fights for years and years, is politics between promoters and broadcasters. So we're trying to break those boundaries. And the response has been great for everybody, for O'Hara, for Cyclone, for Josh Taylor, for us. Oh, well, you know, you letting him box on another show? Yes, it's a lot of money. It's a big opportunity for one of my fighters. I don't restrict them from that, you know. And the conversation was had with Sky. He's going to take this fight. In my opinion, he's going to win. He's going to come back a big star for us and our channel and our output. So let him do it. Let him go and do it. We're behind him 1,000,000%. We've done a great job for O'Hara Davis to date. He's done a great job for himself. One, improving as a great fighter, and two, carving out an image for himself. And, you know, he's done a great job in that respect.
Do you know you're always asking about people obviously suggesting to you how you can improve things and yeah?
Yeah.
You do that, don't you? Well, for the new season, can you try and work with other promoters to make sure that you...
What do you think I'm doing?
No, hold on a minute, I'm finished. So your shows are not clashing.
Yes,
People are able
yes,
to
I
flick
agree.
between two shows.
It's not, you know, that doesn't help anybody.
It's happened twice in 2
but
months.
it's never been a plan. You got to understand that if we want to go to London in September, and the O2 is available on September the 3rd, and they want to go to Manchester, and MEN's available on September the 3rd, generally we'll just go. You know, there is communication, and the communication lines. I mean, don't forget, we've just got, you know, we're ready to sign for McDonnell against Butler. That fight's done. We're just waiting on the date from Queensbury. That's another one. Made us a great offer, no problem. But the clashing is something that we do need to work on. But again, it's like, I'll give you an example. Billy Joe Saunders is fighting on July the 8th at the Copper Box.
Yes.
Now, O'Hara-Davies is fighting Josh Taylor on Channel 5. That's going to murder the BT show. It's going to outrate them by, bloody hell, 20 times, could be. So that's a real, like, if I was going up against that one, and I was BT BoxNation, but it wasn't done by Cyclone to kick BT in the nuts. It was just that was the date they had from the venue, and that's the date they're going to go with. So when you've got as much boxing that's in the marketplace, that's what you're going to get. Unfortunately, is a few clashes. In an ideal world, no one would clash, because everyone's viewing figures will be better.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not that straightforward with, it's more...
No, but all you have to know is it's not done by us or by them as, let's go up against Sky, or let's go up against Channel 5, or let's go up against ITV, because it doesn't work. The boxing market is the boxing market, the audience is the audience, and it is growing. But, you know, it's not rocket science, is it? If there's an audience for boxing and there's 2 offerings on that night, your ratings aren't going to be as strong as if there was 1 offering. Even you can understand that.
Even so. You know, we've done like nearly an hour.
Have we?
So let's talk about the Brook thing, but I want to go more into the Brook thing. We can do this tomorrow at the workout. But do you know what? I was thinking about it yesterday. The best night I've had is when that night at StubHub.
Really?
Unbelievable, yeah. Just because, and I watched the video back on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Of like being a proper fanboy.
Yeah.
One. It's like,
I remember you, get in there. Yeah.
Just. But since then,
it's been a nightmare with Kell.
Yeah, it hasn't gone exactly. But the main thing is that he's still got his belt, and this is now. He's only going to be in these kind of fights with Golovkin, Errol Spence.
Yeah. It's taken a long time. I mean, Kell. We've been through a lot with Kell for a long time. I was actually counting last night the amount of fights we've had with him. Love Morandu, Rafael Djakovic.
I was there, Rafael Djakovic.
Carson Jones, one in America.
Yeah, and the Frotch.
That's right. Yeah. Sal Divya, Senchenko, Robles in Liverpool, Sean Porter, which was supposed to be Devin Alexander, 3 times. Sean Porter, Jojo Dan, Frankie Gavin, Bizier, Golovkin, Spence. So I want to say this is our 13th or 14th fight with him. And Kell is a complex character, but I believe he's a genius. And I believe that all geniuses have character flaws or something. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's Ronnie O'Sullivan, whether it's George Best, Paul Gascoigne, and I honestly think, and some people might think, I honestly believe that Kell Brook is a genius, because you can't, the way he makes 147 pounds, for example, like he has to do things in camp and even mentally that I don't think a lot of people could do. I think he's an exceptional fighter. But there's been times where, you know, the Alexander fight fell through 3 times. Twice was through Kell, and once was through Devon Alexander. You know, but his discipline in the early days was poor. And the amount of times that I'd sit in his kitchen with him and his dad and just say, you have to take this game serious. The problem was he was winning so easy without being 110%, you know. Carson Jones was the first time really where he realised that he messed up and, you know, could have cost him his health that night.
Very important fight in his career.
It was a very important fight. And by the way, Carson Jones is a good fighter. Like, he's underrated, but he's been ill-disciplined himself. So with Kell, the Sean Porter night was incredible because that was everything that I believed that Kell was. He did that night, but only even at 60%. You know, I remember going into the changing room and my dad, this is just before he was about to wrap his hands. My dad came in the changing room. Kell was just sitting there listening to some music like this. My dad come in and just held his hand like this and said, "You alright, son?" Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Yeah. He went, "Yeah, I'm feeling good, feeling good." And then my dad came out of the changing room. I said to my dad, because I was even a bit of a rookie at the time, still, and I said, "Oh, fucking hell, Dad, what do you think?" "Oh, I hope he does it." He went, "Ed," he went, "I just checked his pulse. He ain't even breathing." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I just checked his," without him even knowing, he just went like that. He said it was like a resting pulse of about 27. Like he executed a plan in that Porter fight without even showing his levels. Came back after that, went on holiday with his missus, ended up celebrating a night out. You know the rest. Nearly lost his leg, nearly lost his life. You know, you've gone from this kid who I felt was the best welterweight in the world and one of the best talents in world boxing to getting a phone call from Dominic Ingle to tell me that he's been stabbed and, you know, he may never fight again. Flew out to Fuerteventura that night, just looking at me in hospital, looking at his injury, thinking, you will never ever return to boxing. And I remember pulling the doctor to one side in the corridor, and there was a woman there who spoke English, and I said, like, you know, he's a professional boxer, and he just went to me, "No." I said, "Well, you know, he'll be okay." He said, "We will never make a full recovery." You know, and I went back in that room talking to Kell, and, "No, you'll be all right, no problem." And he knew how bad this injury was, and he went away, and he worked his absolute bollocks off to get back to where he wanted to be. I can't tell you how easy it would have been at that stage just to can it off. Came back, had to fight Jojo Dan, mandatory, which was a bit of a result at the time, really. You know, coming back from that injury, didn't really want him to go into a super fight, so that was a mandatory. Performed great. Went straight into the Frankie Gavin fight, the 0-2. Great. Then went to fight Diego Chavez and broke his rib in training against David Avician. Again, just like trained for 12 weeks to get his weight down. Last spar, I think it was, done his rib, out of the Chavez fight, comes back, IBF slap a mandatory on him, Kevin Bizier. So now we're looking at, you know, Dan Bizier and Joe and Frankie Gavin as the last 3 fights. Everyone's criticising Kell Brook. You know, he doesn't want these fights. All he wanted to be was in big fights. No one wanted to fight him because he didn't have a commercial value at the time because he was out for so long, and he was very good. He boxed Kevin Bizier. Then we looked at the Vargas fight, unification. Looked at the numbers. Money was shit because Kell just weren't big enough. And that's when we took the Golovkin fight. And you know, that fight was always about, you know, going into the deep end to raise the profile. We believed he could win the fight, but also knowing we believed he'd do well in the fight. We needed to take a fight for Kell Brook that was big money, that was big profile, and that there was no risk of losing his IBF world title. And that was the Gennady-Golovkin fight. When in that fight, you'll know what happened. Incredible fight. Broke his cheekbone. And actually, I watched the punch that broke his cheekbone last night. It was so weird. They showed it on Sky. Just a little jab. Crazy. Just shows you. Anyway, come back from that. I went to see him and told him £154 is, you don't want to fight Errol Spence, mate. You've got to go away. Have you got the discipline to make welterweight? Errol Spence is good, It's not a 500,000 pay-per-view buy. There's easier fights out there for you. He said, well, what happens with my belt? I said, just vacate it. No way. No way. Then people started goading him. Amir Khan, he won't fight Errol Spence anyway. Social media, he'll avoid Errol Spence. That just fueled the fire for him. And now he's back at welterweight in a fight he must win. And I've never seen him in this frame of mind before. I think that people grow up at different times in their life. Some people grow up at 22, 23. Some people grow up at 27. Some people grow up at 40. But Kell Brook has grown up. Kell Brook has realised what he wants. He wants legacy. He wants money. He wants security for his family. And it's all business for him now. No, he ain't playing at this game. He hasn't been playing in this camp. He knows how tough this fight is. And in his head, he has prepared himself for an absolute war in this fight. A Nazim Hamid versus Kevin Kelly style fight. That is what he believes this fight will be like. He has said to me on numerous occasions, do not be surprised to see me go down in this fight. He, like sometimes you channel your mind and you train your mind to go to places that you have never been before. And places you have to go to become victorious. That is what he's done. He, in my opinion, is going to go for it in this fight. And I think he wants to shoot out of Errol Spence. I think he wants to stick it right on him. And I'll tell you what, I really hope he knocks him spark out.
Okay. I want to talk about some of the other fights, but I think we should continue this tomorrow because this is run for over an hour.
Okay.
So there's loads to talk about. Groves, Dave Allen.
Yeah, it's a huge card.
Yeah.
I mean, Groves.
Just run through the card with me.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got obviously the two big world title headers on the bill. Kell Brook against Errol Spence. George Groves against Chudanov, the WBA super champion. It's the last chance saloon for George Groves, isn't it? I mean, the fourth shot at a world title. He's the favourite in the fight. I think that Chudanov has got a great style to beat. This is really weird what I'm going to say. Chudanov has got a great style to beat George Groves. Can punch a little bit, constant pressure, body work, etc. But he's also got a great style for George Groves, in that he walks forward, he's small, he comes forward in straight lines. Groves ain't going to be able to miss him. He can punch. And actually, we went to a media lunch recently, and I know we were talking about Shane McGuigan chinning me, but genuinely, I want them to win this fight, and I will be cheering for them to win this fight, quite unusually, because I have to respect, and George Groves ain't everybody's cup of tea. He ain't been mine in the past. I can't sit here and say, I love the geezer, but I do respect him because he's turned down other big fights, by the way, for this shot. He's backed himself here. Could have taken a DeGale fight for a lot of money, but he's backed himself, and it could be the worst decision he'd ever made, or it could be a genius move. But I say about George Groves, he will always do what he wants to do, and he has come back to earn this shot. After the Jack fight, where really, he was finished, boxed DeLuisa, all right. He had a good fight with Martin Murray, boxed good-necked, and that obviously had his own problems after that fight. Terrible what happened. So I'll be cheering George Groves, and I think the whole 27,000 in Bramall Lane will be as well, as they will be for Dave Allen, which still remains one of the great stories that I can remember. If he can win the Commonwealth title on Saturday night, against a guy who is very experienced, boxed at world level before, sparred with Anthony Joshua for 4 or 5 weeks in the build-up to the Charles Martin fight. I see Lemroy Thomas as the favourite in that fight because of his experience. Dave has got to stay calm. You know, it's all very well saying, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I've been training well. When you walk out an open air fight in front of that amount of people cheering you, having not experienced that before, it's very hard to maintain a strategy and composure. And I believe that the whole stadium will be behind Dave Allen on Saturday night, and actually gives me goosebumps to think about how, not about the atmosphere, but how that is going to make him feel, you know? And if he can win it, he can go on and win a British title as well, you know? It's a big fight for him. Jamie Cox, his first fight for Matchroom against Lewis Taylor from just up the road. Tough fight. I really believe that Jamie Cox can go and become a major force in the division. He was out in Fuerteventura sparring with Kell, and I texted Kell and said, how'd you get on with Jamie Cox? And he just replied, he can really punch, you know. So we know that.
Did you hear anything back from the Eubanks about your...
No, but the offer still stands.
Yeah.
If they need a fight for July, I will provide Jamie Cox free of charge for him. And let me tell you, it will be an absolute war. Great news for the broadcaster. Jamie Cox, big fight for him. Then we got a big Andy Townend for the Commonwealth title against John Case. Andy Townend sold about 800 tickets. Big fight for him, must win Commonwealth title shot. And then we've got the 3 Olympians on as well. Coley, Caldina and Fowler debuting. So it's a huge card, a massive night. Big night for Sheffield, really. You know, it's a night that's going to go down in the history of that city. And let me tell you, Brook-Spence, for me, 100% fight of the year. Fight of the year. Just such an intriguing fight. And the Americans, obviously it's live on Showtime, they're all coming over. Stephen Espinoza, because they know they're coming as fans. Great fight. Great fight.
Just a couple more things. First of all, what did you think of Tank Gervonta Davis over the weekend?
I picked it up on when I woke up in the morning and watched it back. I got to say, actually, I spoke to someone from Queensbury that night actually about something else, and I said to him, I fancy your man tonight. I fancied Liam Walsh because I was looking at Tank's social media. He was in Vegas, he was all over the place. I thought his preparation had been poor. He missed the weight, didn't really look like he knew what he was doing when he was re-weighing and everything. And I just thought, and he just vicious, lethal.
Yeah.
I mean, Liam Walsh, a really good fighter, and it looked like a mismatch. But Pedraza fight looked like a mismatch. Pedraza's brilliant. And Liam Walsh is a very good fighter, and he got thrown around like a rag doll. This kid can fight, mate. He's a vicious motherfucker.
Paul Smith. Seen Paul Smith get a lot of stick over this. I'm assuming it hasn't been done yet with Ziga.
The Zoiga fight. It's been agreed with Sauerland and us, yeah. It's one that I really don't understand.
In terms of?
People on social media and the attitude of the people in this country. So, like, people will tweet me and go, it's disgusting. Do you think Paul Smith really deserves a world title fight? And I'll go, well, on the basis of winning 3 6-rounders after Andre Ward, not really. But on the basis of, if you're German and you're looking for a super middleweight opponent, right? A guy that has given Arthur Abraham 2 great fights on German TV, the first one particularly, one that Paul could have won. He's the absolute perfect opponent for Tyrone Zoiga. Perfect opponent. He's just boxed Isaac Ekpo as his mandatory. Well, do you think Isaac Ekpo deserves a shot at world title? But instead of your countrymen going How have you got that shot for a world title? Make the most of it, son. Take it to the Germans. You want to tweet the president of the governing body to try and stop that fight from happening because you sit at home in your pants with no life just knocking one out. All these chumps from like, what? Oh, Gilberto Mendoza, it's a disgrace that you. How can you do this? Well, so what are you trying to do? Take an opportunity away from a guy who's boxed all his life, who just wants to have a fight, challenge for the world title, try and win a world title and pay for his kid's future and his family's future, going out to work. What in your little pathetic little mind, why are you even bothered? Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I mean,
The mistake that the WBA made, and I told Gilberto Mendoza this, was ranking Paul Smith at number 5. Yeah. There is no way he should be ranked at number 5, and that's a mistake from the WBA that I think they're going to rectify.
That didn't help to all
No,
this.
what they should have done was, you have to request for a fight to be ranked. So they look at it, they go, right, Paul Smith fought Abraham twice, fought Andre Ward, came back 3 wins. Okay, does he deserve a shot at the world title? We're going to rank him at number 15 or 14. I don't think a lot of people would have said anything. But they put him in at number 5, which they shouldn't, I don't know whether that was a mistake by them or what. But I still don't get the mentality. I don't care if you like Paul Smith or you hate Paul Smith. Don't try and take away his living. Like, does Vincent Feigenberts deserve a shot at a world title? Did Tyrone Zoiga deserve a shot at a world title? No. How many people deserve a shot at a world title? But for you to go and try and disrupt for one of your own, I can't understand it. These people need to look at themselves in the mirror and like in life, you've got to want people to succeed. Trust me, if you want people to succeed, you will live at peace with yourself and you will achieve more yourself. If you are bitter and look at people and prey on them failing, I promise you will lead a miserable life. To be honest, when I used to play cricket, right, there were some people that I didn't like, and when they went into bat, they might have been on the same team as me, but sometimes secretly I sort of think, I hope you don't get too many runs. And that's a really poor attitude to have. Do you know what I mean? But I'll openly say it like that. And like now, if I was playing, my mindset now is, I hope my whole team go out, mate. In fact, even if you're not with me, even if I'm against you, if you score 100, good luck to you. I respect you. I don't fucking want to beat you badly. But, and I just, to sit at home with very little going on with your own life, yet you're trying to stop and get in the way and complain and object, what difference does it make to you? Why don't you just say, I don't think he should get a shot at a world title, but he's got one. So well done, Eddie. Well done, Paul Smith. Go and stick it up him. Do you not agree with me?
Yeah, listen, the whole social media thing about, listen, it's not just Paul Smith, it's like most fighters.
But look at voluntary defences, KUGAN. I mean, I don't know, look at, trying to think someone's had a voluntary defence reason. Okay, Yafai against Muranaka. Did Muranaka deserve a shot at world title? Well, he's ranked. Didn't win a final eliminator. Hasn't really been in a massive fight recently that would suggest he's about to fight for a world title. Let's look at some others. Terry Flanagan. Orlando Cruz. Even Petrov. I know he was highly ranked. The gentleman from South Africa who boxed before that. Did they deserve a world title? Not really. But when it's a voluntary, when you're making a voluntary defence, you choose a fighter that generally is going to be of interest to the broadcaster and to the fans. Now, in Germany, you have to understand, like, Kalle would have to go to Sat 1 and say, we'd like to do Zoiga against Paul Smith. Do you know what Sat 1 would say? Good fight. We like Paul Smith. Why? because he had 2 good fights with Arthur Abraham not so long ago. Do you understand? So it's a completely fine fight. It makes complete sense for Zoiga to fight Paul Smith. But it still pisses me off that these bitter bastards will sit there all day on Twitter and tweet Gilberto Mendoza non-stop. Fucking hell.
Just fine.
Going back to,
go on.
imagine if you put that energy into something else.
Anything.
When you look at the boys, like, I don't know, the couple of Scottish boys, Tommy and Brian and all that mob up there, like, they're at it. Think about the energy that they put in and the time they put into trolling, right? It's quite incredible, isn't it? In fact, they're very dedicated individuals because it is all they do in their life. Their whole life is trolling on social media. And that makes them happy, so you can't knock that. But imagine if they took that time and energy and passion that they have for being miserable and directed it into something else. You know, they're being unstoppable force.
I think they are an unstoppable force.
I know, yeah, but unstoppable force that no one has any respect for. So how can you be happy with your life if you looked at like a joke, you know? But I don't know.
Eddie.
It gives me the as you can see.
Just finally.
Finally, how long's this been?
It's been a while. But generally finally. With all this Fury stuff going on at the moment, obviously it's a little bit unclear about
very
what's
unclear.
going on.
Very unclear.
His hearing.
I don't really know what's happening.
Have you spoke to Robert Smith or anything?
No,
like
it's
that?
nothing to do with me. But you probably know more because you've been talking to people about it, and I've seen you do interviews because I've seen your headlines and people talking to whether it's Frank Warren, Peter Fury about the UCAD situation. All that seems to have happened is they stopped the hearing because there was a conflict of interest from the panel or something like that. It's got to be quite serious because I don't think they just slow the career down of a fighter for no reason. So, but I don't know the reason. Did he fail a drugs test? That's what I mean, there's 2 incidents in there. There's the failed test for the nandrolone, and then there's the missed test or the failed test for recreational drug, which is, again, I don't think that's punishable by VADA and UCAD. It is by the board. But I feel sorry for Tyson Fury in some respects because it seems like he was getting back on the horse, you know, back in the gym. But boxing's one of those games where you always need to give the fighter something to aim at. You know, if I said to you now, like, go down the gym because you've got a date coming soon, or if I said to you, go down the gym because you're on July the 1st, it's 5 weeks Saturday, the difference in mentality and intensity in training is completely different. And that's not because they're weak individuals, that's just life. So with Tyson, he's training at the moment for nothing. He's training to try and get himself in condition, but with no real end target because everything's unclear. So it's very demotivating for Tyson Fury to not know his situation. So that's why, again, I don't know what his team are doing, his lawyers are doing, but it's a mess. It needs to be resolved. But what you need to do with Tyson Fury is you need to give him something to aim at. And at the moment, there is nothing to aim at because there is no time for, you know, it said they could reconvene in September or something, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I mean, that doesn't sound right. But
No,
again, I'm not dealing with it. I'm not the lawyers. And if it was us, I'd be banging that door down every day. I want answers. Sue them. If you're in the right, I don't know. You're stopping me from earning a living. But you always need to give people something to aim at. It's easy to say to a fighter, just, you know, keep at it till you get your date. They all need a date. They all need something to aim at. They're training 3 times a day. They're cutting weight. You know, it ain't fun. So you need that target. And what Tyson needs is clarity in terms of when he can actually return. Because all he'll do at the moment is get back in the gym, start training for July the 8th, which clearly is not happening now. Once he realises July the 8th is not happening, back out the gym. Have a week off, you're back to where you were 3 weeks ago. Do you know what I mean? So do I. He's an asset to boxing, an asset to the division. We didn't throw him in the pot about it. People might chin me.
Oh yeah, actually. Yeah. Fury may top that list, actually.
Although when I'm with him, he's a very, very polite man. I actually really enjoy his company. But on social media, he's a completely different person. But he's definitely top 10, top 5.
I don't think he'd chin you either. I think he'd backhand you.
A bitch slap.
Like one, yeah. Like.
I don't know what would you prefer?
I'd rather be knocked out with a punch
than a bitch slap.
Than someone's open partner like, slap you and then knock you over or something.
No, but back of the hands even more. It's just like, you little prick, you know, like bosh. Yeah, he'd probably do that. I would probably just clean out, you know. Hopefully no one does it. Just putting that out there, you know.
All right, okay. Sorry, just things coming to my head. Have you had any contact with Hay about how his progress is going?
Yeah, his progress looks good, and I've spoke to his team, and we're going to have a chat probably next week about his return.
Okay. So option for Benny
we're interested. Yeah, we're interested in
Hay rematch. What else?
Wilder or Parker.
One of those three, Benny will definitely.
I believe
fight.
So. Yeah.
You believe so?
Tomorrow is the open workout in the Peace Gardens, which is the big square by the fountains in Sheffield. Starts at 4 o'clock, culminating in 6 p.m. Errol Spence, 6:30 Kell Brook. So get yourself down there.
Who else is working out?
Dave Allen, Lemuel Thomas, Jamie Cox, Lewis Taylor, Andy Townend. I think some of the Olympians as well.
It's going to be a
big week, and a huge night on Saturday. Massive fight.
Can you tell us all the missed calls you've had?
Whilst we've been sat here?
Yes.
Luke Campbell.
Sorry, Luke.
Vlad Hunrov, which is Chudinov's guy. Yeah. My old man, 3.
Sorry, Barry.
Jake Ball, Nathan Cleverly, Pat McGee, Marius Wax manager, Robert Smith. That's it.
Cleverly Badu Jack?
Yes, I'm close to Cleverly Badu Jack, but it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, because he was obviously been.
Yeah.
He's going to be this week.
Is he?
He's gone to
Sweden.
No. He's going to Sweden.
Yeah, but is he coming back?
Don't think so.
No. Sean Porter.
Sean Porter's going to
But he's gone to Paris, I think. I saw him by the Eiffel Tower yesterday.
He will be.
Not personally, but on his social media.
2 stars there then, coming over.
It's a big fight. As I said, as fans.
Yeah.
Because they, like, people in boxing view Brook-Spence as probably the best, like, not the best fight in world boxing, but like top 3 best fights in world boxing. And that's why people are flying in, because they want to see it.
Is Naz coming?
Yes, I believe so, yeah. Was he at the Copper Box?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. We had a chat on the phone yesterday for about an hour. We'd spoken on a lot of time talking about you, actually.
Oh, really? Why? Good or bad? Is he going to knock me out?
Anyway, this has been KUGAN CASSIUS.
I used to hang around with Naz. I was about 13 and he was about 15. He was so leery. He used to just lay bouncers out at 15 and just walk around Sheffield like, and I was sort of hiding behind him. But yeah.
He fucking loves me, he does.
Does he?
Genuine love.
I saw your message on social media, so cringe.
What?
Yeah. Amazing to have such words of support from my idol. Fucking hell, I was like...
That's not what I put.
Or something like that, something.
No, I put, like you with Francis and Pofo, who I met the other day.
Yeah, I saw that interview.
The reason why I started watching boxing was because of Naz.
Yeah.
That's all I put.
Yeah, I saw your Francis and Pofo, I think it's funny. I got a lot of stick about it.
No,
but you know your headline, it was like, I introduced Eddie Hearn to the streets.
Bethnal Green Street Love.
It's like, oh, as if Eddie Hearn's from the streets. Like, no, what he was saying was, that's where I used to hang around. He had 2 mates called Sherman and Joe, right, who owned a sports shop on Bethnal Green, just on the corner of Balance Road, I think. And we just used to hang around there.
Crazy used to live.
Yeah. But at the time, like being 13, 14, 15, I thought it was unbelievable. And it was back in the time where mobile phones were just coming out. And these guys, Sherman and Joe, they had like, do you remember the Sony phone?
Yeah.
That used to touch and this little lever would come down like that? They had them. And I thought, oh, they're unbelievable.
Because you got nicked, not nicked, but you got caught for shoplifting or something?
Yeah, that was in Carnaby Street. Yeah, I think I remember that. I heard the story. But I think they stopped Francis from leaving the shop and me. So they thought we'd nicked something. And he got the hump. But he took care of me because at the time, I just thought that I was cool and I was like in their gang. But really, I was a kid. So for him to take me under his wing, you know, we used to go to Tottenham together. We used to go up to Bethnal Green all the time, just sit in a sports shop. I used to always go training with him. He was very good to me. Nice guy, really nice guy.
Come up to his chicken farm.
No, that was after his career.
Yeah.
Francis, he's a real inspirational guy because when he was finishing his fighting, he wanted to he knew that his career was ending. So he wanted to try and educate himself and prepare for his future. So he got a couple of properties, but he started to build computers, right? Now bear in mind, he knew nothing about computers. So he would buy all the individual like motherboards or whatever they're called and stuff like that and build like with the box, you know, the box computers, and put them together himself and learn from scratch how to do that. And he was selling computers, like building them and selling them. And like that was incredible. Then he did some property, and then I remember him saying one day, "Oh, I've seen this chicken farm in Norfolk. I'm going to go down there and start selling eggs." And we were like, "Francis, not being funny, like a Ghanaian geezer in Norfolk selling eggs. You couldn't make it." And he said no, and he's become, I believe the biggest manufacturer of eggs, or one of, in the country. And he's surprised he's got the contract with M&S for all their eggs. It's incredible what's happened. And he deserves it, but he's a real grafter. You know, real grafter. Lovely family. And I've got a lot of time for Aunt Sampo for him. A lot of time.
Okay.
There you go.
Eddie, when you know when that rematch date is, let me know.
What, for Joshua-Klitschko?
Yeah, so I can book a holiday.
Yeah. I love it when you spoke to Josh. Who barred you?
What's going to happen, isn't it?
Well, in terms of the rematch, or in terms of if you're going?
No, just a little end it, you know. Like,
Do you know what you could do, right?
Please don't say what I think you're going to say. Please don't say that.
Come in disguise.
Oh, no, that's an option.
Right? I think if we went to a proper makeup artist, right, you know, like Ant and Dec do, you know, when they do their surprise and they go, and we make up a media outlet, right? Giving the game away a bit. And then you basically have a complete face reconstruction, which is easy done with these days. And you come in, it 100% will work.
It's not going to work now, but it could have worked.
No, it will work now. So we come up with a new site. We can even build the site, right? Fightbazooka.com, right? Fightbazooka.com have applied for credentials to the show, right? When we sit down, who are Fight Bazooka? Fight Bazooka, a massive worldwide news site, one of the big sites, come to all our shows, etc. Okay, tick. KUGAN comes in representing Fight Bazooka with all the thing on, right? I'm telling you, it's a goer. We can make that happen.
Okay. Is there a plan B?
Yeah, you don't go. No. The plan B is...
Hold on. Plan B, sorry.
The plan B is you buy a ticket, right? Or I buy you a ticket.
Yeah.
And you just go. And when you get turfed out, you go, I have a ticket. And you have to get a new, smaller camera that you can just stick in your pants or something like that. But I honestly think that the disguised one is bang on.
Oh dear. Do you know what someone went to me the other day, or people do ask me quite often, people I know go, what's going to happen if there's a rematch? And I'll just come out with, I'm basically fucked.
You are fucked.
So, you know what though, I'm not going to stress about it. Whatever happens, it happens.
Good, it's not going to change your life, is it? But the bottom line is, again, we've had this conversation 100 times. You may have been fucked anyway, but at least now you're royally fucked. Like with your, it's not even like you couldn't even go back now and go, I know you didn't let him in first time, but could you let him in the second time?
Yeah, but like, say fight week, right?
Yeah.
What's going to happen fight week then? Am I not welcome to that?
Probably not now.
Really?
That's why we have to get Fight Bazooka up early.
No, I'm being serious now.
So am I.
No, but you've already put this out there with something really you should have told me about.
Well, obviously, I'm not going to call it Fight Bazooka, but that's.
No, but I like Fight. What are you saying to me seriously? Like the media week, like the workout, the press.
You've got to be in character all week.
Give me a straight answer. Are you telling me I can't seriously come to fight?
No, I'm sure that'll be fine. But the fight will be a problem, obviously. But that's why we have to get in character early enough. If people can become associated with you during fight week, you might even end up interviewing Klitschko. And then, as you're interviewing Klitschko and Byrne, you can go, you know, blah, 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 blah. Ah! Like that, do you know what I mean? He'll go mental, they'll all run off. And then you'll just get pummeled by some big Russian security guard.
No, I'll take my own security around.
Yeah.
Who, anyway, listen, it might not even be here. It might be like in China.
Oh.
Good luck, James. Yeah, my new attitude, I've got a new attitude on life.
Is it? What's that attitude?
Just whatever happens, happens.
It's hard to. It's
Let
hard.
it roll.
It's very hard to just come out with new attitudes. Like and because you might not be that kind of person. Like I know loads of people who've got that kind of attitude, but they've had it all along. They never woke up one day and went, I'm a bit of a warrior or a faffer. But you know what? Today, from now on, nothing matters.
No, I'm not.
Are you working at it?
Well, with things in boxing, there's far worse things going on.
Yeah, but isn't that the way in all shapes of life? You know, you go back to Manchester last night, and you think, I've been, worrying or having aggro with this.
And what does it mean?
I know, nothing at all.
Nothing. It means nothing.
The only thing that really matters is your family and your health and being happy, in my opinion. Because if you've got all of that,
the rest of it
should take care of itself. But you go through life, don't you? And you end up getting wound up and stressed about like things that you just look at. You think, why did I even?
I literally cringe about that weekend so bad. And people go like, because people keep bringing it up as well. Like Frank's the worst one, Warren.
Yeah. Like
Frank goes up to me every time going, what are you doing here? You're barred. Every time I see him, like this is about 20 times. But it cringes me out. But I had the ump that Friday.
No shit.
That was it. But
yeah, but listen, it's all part of the journey. It's all part of the story. It's all part of building. We're all really like, I go back to the Shakespeare, all the world's a stage. We're only characters in this boxing world, aren't we?
Players.
But we are. To the outsiders, you're the IFL geezer who sneaks in everywhere and then threw his toys out the pram when he didn't get allowed in. I'm the horrible, evil promoter at the moment. That might change when I start like not doing as well. Everybody's got a role, haven't they? But that's the way that you need those characters and those different people to make boxing what it is. Boxing's full of great characters, not all, nice people, but it's still full of characters. But if we didn't have those tiffs, if you didn't have your toys out of the pram, if I didn't make decisions that everyone thought I was an arsehole for making, they wouldn't have their opinion of us that helps set up that whole facade.
Just checking I'm alright this week though.
You're okay. I'll have to speak to Tom Brown. He's, Heyman. Make sure you're allowed, but
Don't make me go to
Boxing Bazooka. He's not up and running yet.
You know, someone's going to set up a Twitter page.
100%. No, they're going to... I bet someone registers boxingbazooka.com today. And they'll come to me and say, I bought this site, are you interested in buying it?
Maybe.
Boxing Bazooka.
Right,
mate.
Thank you very much
No worries.
for your time, and,
Thank you, people.
We'll
see you on Fight Week.
We'll catch up with you tomorrow.